4 seasons, hundreds of theories, and one throwaway sentence in episode 9 just quietly rewired how we should be watching this entire show. It wasn't a jump scare. It wasn't a death. It was a single line about how this town actually works. And once you hear it, you can't unsee it in every season that came before. Today we're breaking down that line, tracing it backward through 4 years of this show, and using it to figure out what's actually about to happen in a finale that's already being called the longest episode this series has ever made. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where we treat Fromville like a puzzle box instead of just a horror show, because honestly, that's what it is. Let's get into it. In the calm before, Sophia drops a line that sounds almost like small talk. She tells Clara that this town runs on ritual, and then she adds the part that matters. How you do something is just as important as what you do. On the surface, that's a creepy little aside from a creepy little character. But look at what it actually explains. For 4 seasons, fans have been frustrated that nobody in this town can just say what they mean. The boy in white shows up, says something cryptic, and vanishes. Ghost children appear and repeat a single word instead of forming a sentence. Visions point at people instead of explaining themselves. Up until now, that's read like a writing choice. Mysterious entity, mysterious hints, classic slow burn mystery formula. But Sophia's line reframes it as something else entirely. It's not a stylistic choice. It's a rule of the universe these characters are trapped in. The town isn't just asking people to find the right answer. It's asking them to arrive at that answer through the correct process. Skip the process, and the right answer doesn't save you. That's a very different kind of trap than find the clue. It's closer to a ritual structure you'd see in actual folklore, where doing a right out of order or for the wrong reason can curse you just as badly as never attempting it at all. This single idea retroactively explains the most argued about character decision in the entire series. Why does the boy in white refuse to just explain things plainly? Go back to the Christopher storyline. The boy in white, speaking through the ventriloquist dummy, told Christopher directly about the children and what needed to happen. Christopher didn't act on it himself. Instead, he passed that information to his mother, Miranda, who went out to handle it in his place. She didn't come back. That's the show's clearest case study. Direct information, handed to the wrong person, acted on the wrong way, ending in a death that haunted the timeline for decades afterward. Now hold that up against what just happened with Victor. Victor grabs an axe and heads for the bottle tree, ready to chop it down out of grief and anger. The boy in white appears, looking older than we've ever seen him, and stops Victor from a different angle. He doesn't explain the tree's importance in detail. He just tells him not to do it, and adds that he already tried full disclosure once, and it cost people their lives. That's not the boy in white being difficult for the sake of mystery. That's a character who made a mistake, watched someone die because of it, and adjusted his entire strategy as a result. He's not withholding information to torture the audience. He's avoiding the exact failure mode the show already showed us once. It's honestly one of the more quietly tragic character arcs in the show, and it rarely gets framed that way because he barely talks. Here's where it gets interesting, because the show planted evidence for this ritual rule seasons before Sophia ever said a word about it. Think about every time someone has actually gone through the bottle tree. It has never worked the same way twice, and it's never been random. When Tabitha first used it, she made it to the lighthouse and came back safely. Later, when she tried to use it again too soon, the boy in white physically blocked her, warning her that this time, it wouldn't take her where she expected. The implication tracks with everything we now know. She was trying to skip ahead in a process that wasn't ready for her yet. The same mistake that got Christopher's mother killed. Then there's the split that happened after the Colony House massacre. Julie and Victor went through that same tree at the same time and landed in completely different places. Julie ended up in the root cellar. Victor landed in the forest, right where the boy in white needed him to meet Tabitha later. Same tree, same moment, 2 different outcomes, both apparently exactly where the story needed each of them to be. And the biggest one, at the end of season 1, the boy in white brought Sarah to the tree, and both Sarah and Boyd went through together. Sarah landed in the church basement. Boyd ended up somewhere far worse, trapped with Martin, which is where he picked up the parasite that eventually changed the entire trajectory of the show. That single trip through the tree is arguably the reason Smiley exists in the form we know now, and the reason Fatima ended up tied to that creature at all. None of that reads like teleportation. It reads like a ritual responding to timing and readiness. Exactly the kind of mechanic Sophia just confirmed out loud. The show was demonstrating this rule for years before it ever stated it. Now let's talk about the bone retrieval plan, because this is where the rule gets tested in real time on screen in the same episode that introduced it. Boyd's original plan was straightforward by Fromville standards. Get a group down into the tunnels, dig up the bones, get back out. Functional plan. Reasonable plan. Also, according to everything we now understand, very likely the wrong plan. Sophia, while still wearing her disguise, makes a point of not interfering when Clara asks if she wants the plan stopped. She doesn't need to stop it. She already knows it's going to fail on its own, because it's the wrong ritual. The town doesn't need a crowd in those tunnels. It needs something far more specific. That specific version arrives through Tabitha, after she's pushed by visions of the ghost children pointing directly at her. She comes to Boyd and tells him something that completely reshapes the plan. Only she and Jade should go down into the tunnels. Not a search party, just the two of them. It lines up with the talisman imagery the show has been showing us all season, which depicts exactly two figures. That's the correction. The original what doesn't change. They still need the bones. But the how gets rewritten in real time, live, on screen, immediately after Sophia spelled out the rule that makes this correction matter. And once that correction happens, things shift fast. The rope ladder, their entire way in and out of those tunnels, ends up sabotaged. Quick aside, because someone has to say it. An entire escape plan resting on one untested rope ladder, built by people with apparently zero structural engineering experience, is not exactly a confidence-inspiring setup. Quality control was never this town's strong suit. But here's the read that actually matters. If the original group plan had stayed in motion, sabotage might not even have been necessary. A plan built on the wrong ritual was probably going to collapse on its own. The ladder only needed cutting once the plan became dangerous to the town's real agenda, which suggests Tabitha and Jade's narrower, more specific approach was uncomfortably close to correct. This same rule shows up again with the ghost children themselves, and it's easy to miss because it's been there from the start. They could communicate a full sentence. The show has proven that ghosts and visions in this universe are capable of more complex messages when the story needs them to be. Instead, these children just repeat one single word over and over. Run that through the same ritual logic. If the full explanation worked the way Christopher's full explanation worked, we already know how that ends. A death, a massacre, a cycle that doesn't progress. The children aren't limited by what they're capable of saying. They're limited by what the town allows to be said directly, because directness is exactly what breaks the process. It's the same mechanic, the same rule, just running through a different character. And once you notice it here, it's hard to read any vague warning in this show as just lazy writing again. So here's where this actually gets urgent, because we're not talking about some distant future plot point. The Season 4 finale, titled If a Tree Falls in the Forest, is set to premiere this Sunday, June 28th, and by most reports, it's shaping up to be the longest single episode this show has ever produced, somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 minutes. Given everything we just laid out, that title is doing a lot of work. Pulling the bottle tree out of the ground might be exactly the right move for this town's escape. Or it might be the right idea, executed the wrong way, which by Sophia's own rule could be just as fatal as doing nothing at all. The boy in white's warning to Victor wasn't necessarily about protecting the tree forever. It may have been about protecting the timing of when and how it gets removed. And there's a reason this finale carries extra weight beyond the runtime. MGM Plus confirmed before this season even premiered that there will be a 5th season, and that it will be the final one. Which means this finale doesn't need to wrap up the whole story. It has room to end on something brutal, something unresolved, something designed to make the wait for that last season feel unbearable. If the show is going to test its own ritual rule in the biggest way possible, this is exactly the episode where it would do it. Add in everything else this season left hanging. Henry's grip on reality cracking under pressure that may push him toward hurting Victor. Fatima's condition, and what's actually waiting for her by the time this is over. Elgin's fate, which the show has deliberately left unconfirmed. Every one of those threads is positioned to collide in the same 90 minutes. And if the ritual rule holds, the order these things happen and might matter just as much as how they end. Here's the thing this rule actually does for the show. It stops the boy in white from being a frustrating plot device and turns him into a character operating under the exact same restrictions as everyone else. He's not choosing to be unhelpful. He's bound by the same process he's trying to guide people through, and he already knows firsthand what happens when that process gets shortcut. The difference between him and the man in yellow isn't power. It's patience. The man in yellow only needs the cycle to keep repeating. The boy in white only needs one cycle to finally go right. That's the lens I'm taking into this finale, and honestly, it makes 4 seasons of cryptic nonsense click into place in a way I did not expect from one line of dialogue. If you've got your own read on what the right way actually looks like for that tree, drop it in the comments before Sunday. I want to see how many of us land on the same theory before the finale either proves us right or makes complete fools out of all of us. Subscribe if you want the full finale breakdown the moment it drops, and I'll see you for that one very soon.